What is up? This is Ahead of the Spread presented by Wager Talk, where we check out three games for the next day. We check out the open numbers, notable line movements, key matchups, and angles, so you have an early edge for those three games here. I'm Ronald Cabang, and the one and only Skee Prophet here co-hosting with me. Also, before we get into those games, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Just real quick, just to recap today or this weekend, I did go 1-0 today on the premium side. I had the Cavs. I had the Cavs. I actually had a bad number, -9. They ended up covering regardless. But Skee, I know you said you didn't touch anything today, but a whole bunch of games tomorrow. I don't know. It looks like almost every team is playing tomorrow. It seems like, but whole bunch of games tomorrow. We'll go over the three that we're going today. It's going to be Sixers, Hawks, Nuggets, Thunder, and the Knicks and the Kings. All right. With that said, anything to add before we go into the slate, Ski?
No, like you said, I didn't play yesterday. Saturday, I did play. Went 1-1 in NBA, 0-1 in college. So it's been kind of rough for me to pass. It's been rough for me lately, really. So it's nothing I haven't seen before, and surprisingly, I've been at a much lower point than where I'm at right now, and
Yeah.
ended up having my best season in the NBA. So
I think I remember that season. That was like
I'm
two
not worried
seasons ago,
about it.
right?
Yeah.
2 seasons ago? Man, that shit was crazy. It's all about them streaks, man. You hit that stride and you can't really miss. I mean, that to me, that feels like how I am right now. Like I over the last 30 days been doing really well. Over the past like multiple months though, doing really well in the NBA. College wasn't that great, so I kind of cut that off and just focused on NBA, and I think that really helped me. And then obviously doing this show too, trying to capture the best of the number and all that stuff prior to the next day, that helped a lot too. But hopefully we get on the right track tomorrow for you, Ski, and then yeah, let's get into it here. So first game up, we have Sixers and the Hawks. We got Sixers Hawks. So Hawks open up at -8.5. This has come up all the way to -10, the highest, but majority -9.5. The total has steamed up already. 228.5 at open, 232.5 majority, but Pinnacle has 233. Let's go to the injuries. We'll go to Philadelphia first. Maxi is questionable. PG out indefinitely, and Embiid already out for the rest of the season. If we go to the Hawk side, you got Trey is questionable, and then the same two guys out. Let's go over to themoneyballer.com. You got Sixers second of a back to back. They did end up beating the Jazz today, but they did not cover the spread. It was a home game yesterday. Then they go on the road tomorrow. Atlanta, they've been at home for quite a bit here. Ski, what are your thoughts on this initially?
Um, First, I want nothing to do with the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just looking at their injury report too. I mean, Maxi is game time. If they can get Maxi, it does become a lot harder to lay these points with Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I think we can still fade the Sixers defense regardless if Maxi plays or not. They've been the worst defense so far post All Star break, and
Mm-hmm.
Hawks. We can't really trust them to get stops, but we can trust them to score the ball. And they've played a little bit more up tempo post All Star, looking at sixth in pace. So that makes me think we can get to Hawks team total over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really look at the number, but just looking at lately, the Sixers have allowed 119 plus every game so far this month, and the Hawks have scored 120 plus every game this month. It looks like
Mm-hmm.
so. Hawks team total is first thing that comes to my mind.
I'm seeing 120.5 or 121. I
Damn,
mean
I was
that's like
hoping it would be under 120.
yeah, no, it moved up. So that's interesting. So when I was capping this game earlier, maybe it was just like an hour, less than an hour ago, Ski. I was doing my handicapping right before the show. It was 230.5. I know it opened up at 228.5, but when I saw it, it was 230.5. I had it on my bet slip. I was taking that over. I went to go get my tea, came back. should move to 232 and a half. That was literally like 2 minutes. It moved 2 points. It didn't even go to 231, didn't go to 231 and a half. It was 232 and a half. But that was I like the over here in this one. A lot of things are pointing in that direction. Obviously, you can see here the Sixers have been struggling this season from a straight up and ATS perspective. But one thing, if you look at the Hawks here, they've been profitable to the over 37, 24, and 2 to the over. Home favorites 11 and 4 to the over, 15 and 4 to the over when they're the more rested team. In those games right here, there's 15 and 4 to the over. They're combined 247 point 3 points in those games. So it's a lot higher than what we have here. There was a couple of OT games in there that pushed it up, but for the most part, even if it was the OT games, they were going over. And then the other thing too, I think it was the Sixers. They put up 126 against the Jazz, and if you look at the Hawks, they're not a great defensive team. 19th in defensive rating. They pick up the pace, like you mentioned. They allow a good chunk of points. I know Sixers offense isn't that great, but I think it's one thing that you could see that they do well, or they can put points up against a team that doesn't play defense. They showed that today. So I think that the over is the way to go. I think a couple things on the last 10 too. Last 10 games for both teams here, 25th in defensive rating, 29th right there. If you look at the Hawk side, effective field goal percentage allowed, dead last, 29th in points per game allowed as well. So I think this will balance out, and then the Hawks continue to score points. If you put that together, I think they get over this 232 and a half. So the over, I think, would be the best way to go. I also agree with the team total specifically on the Hawks side. All right, let's move on to the second game. That would be Denver and OKC. They just played today. OKC got the win and cover, and they made it kind of look pretty easy today too. Um, Opened up at -8.5. This has come down to -7.5, the lowest. At circa, there's some eights, but majority you could actually still get 8.5s. The total 240 and a half at open. This has come down to as low as 238 and a half. If we go to the injury report, we'll go to OKC first. Nothing there yet. Maybe nothing there tomorrow. And then Denver, you got Aaron Gordon, questionable. Over at themoneyballer.com, you can see the situational notes, pretty much the same. Second of a back-to-back, third game in 4, fourth game in 6 for both teams here. I actually agree with both ways the line and the total are moving. Skee, are what are your thoughts on here on this one?
Um, well, I know when I have that one system that usually says when teams play, and the first one went under, the second game is line lower. That's the market telling us that
Yeah.
they expect it to be a lower scoring game. So
Mm-hmm.
I do trust OKC defensively. I don't necessarily trust Denver as much, but 240 is a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
I could absolutely see it being another under game.
There's a couple of things. Obviously, the Thunder, one of the best ATS teams, 39, 21, and 3. Home favorites, pretty strong here after today, 22, 9, and 2. But if you look over at the second of a back to back, 9 and 3 ATS, they do better in that spot. My only worry is Aaron Gordon got injured. He didn't come back, so that's the reason why he's questionable tomorrow. But if you look at the Nuggets, we go to Killer Sports, we go Nuggets, and rest equals 0. The second of a back to back, and we go. Oh shoot, that includes last year. So we go 24. Um, that's the ATS and straight up right there on the second leg of back to backs on the road. 6-0 straight up, 4-2 ATS. But if we say there's a dog in that situation, 4-1 straight up, 4-1 ATS, 4-1 to the over. That over kind of scares me. But you can see here their opponents under their team total in 4 of those 5 games. And there were a dog, like I said, they're a dog in each one of these situations here. I was looking towards the Nuggets to cover, or even a Thunder team total under. Um, a lot of things kind of pointing to the under just because of second of a back to back. A lot of the guys played heavy minutes as well. Um, I mean, if you look at some of the spots here, I think if we go playing the same team in back-to-back games, Nuggets have done it multiple times. 5-1 straight up, 5-1 ATS in that spot. Opponents 4-1, 4-2 to their team total under. So they tend to play that second game pretty strong, right? If you go to the Thunder side, it's only happened once. They lost that game outright as 12-point favorites to the Timberwolves. Um, and they only went over their team total just because it went into OT. Situationally, it seems like the Thunder. Sorry, situationally, it seems like it's a Nugget spot and potentially a Thunder team total under. Those would be the two ways that I go here. And I know you mentioned the under as well, Ski, but any thoughts on the side there? You think the Nuggets can bounce back here?
They're capable, yes. I'm not really interested in betting aside, but I got a question for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because this is another one where we're talking about, the way you're seeing it, you're pretty much betting on the Denver defense.
yeah.
Um, that last game versus Suns, do you think that was more just the Suns offense clicking or Denver's defense, not trustworthy?
Mhm.
Like, why are we trusting Denver's defense? Like,
Yeah, I know. That's the one that was another game that I ended up losing as well. I do think that I mean I think that the Suns in general they covered today or didn't um they covered today, right? So I mean maybe it's a thing
125,
where
116.
yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe it's a thing where Phoenix is starting to put things together. Obviously, it's hard to trust them off of a couple game sample size, but to put it together in multiple games in a row might be something that we could potentially take advantage of because Phoenix has been a team that everybody put on their do not bet list, obviously, right? But that when that happens, typically they start to turn things around, and that's when you start to kind of put some money on them just because they're going to be undervalued at some point, right? So, I mean, I can see why you brought that up. It does make a lot of sense. But that means just from a spot perspective, how these two teams play against each other, it just seems like it's an under type play for me. And more specifically, team total under on the Thunder side is because they're the favorite, right? I think we talked about this before, but because they're the favorite, their number is typically a little bit higher too. Um, so yeah, that's the reason why I would probably look in that direction if I was to pivot off of the ATS.
Well, um, I still do agree with the under, whether it's a team total or a full game.
Hmm.
I'm just looking at some of those baller systems. If you can go back over there.
Oh, yep.
So one of them is kind of like, what I was saying when they have that rematch and the total is
Yep.
lower.
Yeah.
And then I talk about this too all the time. When two of the better teams are meeting, especially like after All Star break, like down the stretch, they want to show who's the top dog. And
Hmm.
usually they ramp up and play better defense.
Hmm.
So those things make sense to me. They're on the same side. They want to, show who's the best in the West. OKC showed them why they're number one in that last game, and
Hmm.
did it in defensive fashion. So I can see another low scoring game. I agree with it. And this
Um.
is one where it opened 240 and a half. I mean, there is there are a lot of it's as low as 238 and a half right now. But
Mhm.
one sharp book still has 240. So I'm just curious, when do we need to get in if we like it? That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? All of these right here, I think they were at. Yeah, yeah, they're right here for 240. I see it. Um. Yeah, I'm pretty. I mean, I think I'm probably gonna go towards the under in some way, whether it's the full game or the team total. But here's the reason why I was looking at specifically the two that I said, the Nuggets on the side or the team total under. I mean, this is not. I mean, this is just one trend that kind of pointed it in that direction that I thought was pretty solid. Nuggets after they lose as a dog and then they're a dog again in the next game. Um, they've won and covered in both situations, and they it sounds like it just seems like they bounce back pretty strong in this spot. And then even though they went over on the full game, they limited their opponents to their team total under. This is what I was saying about, like, when a team is favored, those are the teams that I would typically take the team total on, just because the number goes a little bit lower. I mean, it's a little bit higher, so you get a little bit more value there, especially when you think that the dog is going to cover. Um, so this was another one that kind of pointed me in that direction.
Um, I mean, the logic makes sense. The only thing I would say here is, I mean, it's levels, and
Hmm.
Clippers and Grizzlies are not the Thunder.
Yeah, no, definitely agree there. Definitely agree there. But yeah, those are. I mean, if you just combine, like, the way that I've been handicapping lately, it's kind of like stacking different edges, right? So if there's a model that points in that direction, if there's multiple trends that point in that direction, if we do recent form last 10, if that points in that direction, like, everything kind of just, whether it's little or a lot, right? Just as long as it kind of stacks together, it gives me like more confidence in that
Confidence.
type of play. Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I'm not
So,
trying to talk you off. I'm
oh
just
no,
telling you my thoughts.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
no,
you
no,
seem
I,
to
I
board
like this
good,
type of
man.
conversation though,
Whatever
Skee.
you take, whatever
Yeah.
you like, take what you like, bro.
Yeah, no, I just like talking about these types of conversation, having these types of conversations, because I think people like people who watch shows and stuff like that, especially when they don't show the screen, right? If it's just people just talking, like, where do they get that information from? You don't really know, right? You kind of like throwing darts and all that shit, right? For the most part, that's what it seems like when I hear people, and they don't prove, like, how they handicap the games. And that's the reason why I like showing this stuff, because we're showing that we actually do the work. And then kind of just sharing our strategy and how we handicap games. So I just like talking about that stuff. Let's go to the last game, Ski. Knicks and the Kings. All right, so this already moved. All right, so this opened up at -1. I think it opened up while the game was going on for the Kings, and then the total opened up at 224 and a half. This has already come down as low as 221. 222 and a half is actually the highest number we see. And then this has moved to the Knicks as high as 2.5 at FanDuel, as low as -1.5 at BetMGM. If we look at the injury report, I'm not sure we'll see anything on the Kings side, but we could check. Oops. Sacramento. Monk is questionable. Sabonis continues to be out. And if we go on the Knicks side, we know Brunson is going to be out for a while, and then Mitchell Robinson is questionable. If we go to themoneyballer.com, we have the rest advantage, 2 days or more rest on the Knicks side. On the Kings side, a lot of fatigue here. Second of a back to back, third and four, fourth and six. Also coming off OT, they did lose on like a last second shot by Kawhi there in OT. Double digit in season revenge, but I think they played in January, so it wasn't when I think Fox was still with the squad, if I'm not mistaken. And then obviously Brunson. But I was looking towards the under, the under in this one, Ski. I know that it's come down quite a bit, but I think it moved because of OT. And yeah, no Brunson. One of the things I think I talked to you about it, Ski, with no Brunson, the Knicks defense actually plays a lot better than people expect. So with Brunson on the court, the defensive rating for the Knicks is 115.3 when he's on the court, 115.3. When he's off the court, 106 and a half. And then obviously their offensive rating also comes down a bunch as well. So that those multiple things kind of point toward the under. Then obviously everyone in OT on the King side, whoever's available right now, Keegan Murray, 47 minutes, DeRozan, 44, Levine, 44 minutes, Valanciunas, 41 minutes as well. They don't have a deep squad either, so I'm thinking they're gonna have a lot of tired legs. Just kind of looking towards the under. What are your thoughts on that one, or are you looking towards the side?
Nah, I don't really want much to do with a side. I mean, obviously the spot is going to point towards New York, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I have to take a side, that's a side I prefer just because of the spot. But um, I don't love the thought of missing Brunson. I
Yeah.
agree with what you said. We kind of saw it in the last game, I guess. As far as how Brunson can affect the total.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with the market taking this one down. I do think we'll see a couple guys out for Sacramento, and both teams so far combined what 12. think 12 and well, actually, no, this is not counting the game that just went to overtime. So I was gonna say 12 and 4 to the under so far combined post All Star.
Post
Neither
All-Star.
team playing that pace. Um, yeah, I mean it makes sense why the market is ticking this one down.
Gotcha. And then just a couple more things that kind of points to the under real quick. So if we go to uh Kings off of OT. So if we go Kings, they actually played a whole bunch of OT games this season. POT greater than 0. So 6 OT games already this season. 4 of them went under. Um, and then if you look at this one right here against the Jazz, this one went over on the second leg of back-to-back games. But Jazz defense isn't that great. I think a lot of these teams, for the most part, well, Heat, Spurs, Heat defense earlier in the season was pretty solid. Spurs defense with Wemby was good. Celtics defense obviously really great. Pelicans, I think they're just a slower paced team there. They went under, but and less efficient offensively, so they went under there. So a lot of things kind of make sense to me there. For the under 221, is it 221 the lowest? Um, sorry, where did it go? 222 and a half is the best number you can get, but that's at Pinnacle. So online, probably 221 and a half is the best you can get. All right, so that's 3 games. Let me stop sharing the screen. All right, before we head into the top look, Ski, anything to add or promote on your side?
No, it just I'm scrolling through. I see a lot of people in the chat. Appreciate y'all staying up late night to cap these games with us and to support the show. So yeah, just want to let everybody know y'all appreciate it, and yeah, we can get to it.
All right, real quick before we do have the see it scrolling down on the bottom banner. 7-day NBA pass from Skee or myself. Coupon code NBA33 gets you 33% off of that 7-day NBA package. You can see the moneyballer.com, the site that we use today for the stats, trends, and insights. If you want to go directly to our handicapper pages, wt.buzz /RC for myself, /HP for Skee Profit. There you can see everything we got going on as far as like promos or recent games and analysis and all that stuff there. So make sure you guys check that out. Tomorrow is Monday. I think there's a whole bunch of games on the slate tomorrow. So I will have a few games. Ski, I'm not sure how many games you're looking at, but we got a lot to get to handicap overnight. But as far as today goes, what do you think that would be your best leans for tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna talk about the games we went over. I know I am
Hmm.
gonna do a video on a couple games tomorrow for Wager Talk, so you can look out for those. Um, I mean, I think we pretty much agree. It's either Philly Atlanta over or Atlanta team total over.
Hmm.
You know, I can't help but think about what you said. All right, so really quick,
Yeah.
just in general, what I've done over the course of my handicapping career, I guess you can call it, is take a little bit from everybody and put it into what I do.
Hmm.
And I've told you before that you are really good at betting team totals,
Oh yeah.
and I am not good at betting team totals.
Yeah. Yeah.
For whatever reason, when I bet a team total, it's the opposite. The other team is the one I should have bet the team total on. So I'm listening to you talk about them earlier and saying why you prefer to bet the team total on, the unders for the favorites.
Yeah.
That makes me not want to bet Atlanta team total over. That makes me just maybe lean more towards Philly, Atlanta, full game over 232 and a
Mhm.
half. Um, don't like getting the ass into the line, but if I was betting that game, that's the one I'm going with. Denver OKC, I think I like the most out of everything we talked about under 240. Just a lot of things make sense there. We got to trust Denver's defense again, but
Have to, yeah.
I know OKC's defense will do their part. You feel strong about Denver's defense, so that gives me some confidence to trust them a little bit there. And then that last game, I agree with the market pushing it under. I'm not mad at Knicks too.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks are worth a shot. I mean, situation, just thinking about it, like they've had a couple days off to figure out what they need to do without Brunson. So That's how I'm feeling about the games we've talked about.
Gotcha. First, all right. So first game, agree there. I do think that the over 232.5 is the right side there. I actually think there's going to be more room. I think it's going to go up even a little bit further. I think by the time tomorrow morning, I could see it at like 234 in my opinion. And then if you look at the second game, I do think that the Nuggets is the right side. I do think that the Thunder team total under is the right side as well. Under full game makes a lot of sense. That comment about the Nuggets trusting the Nuggets defense, I know it's tough. It is tough, but I think they just do enough just to help us get that under. Also, that situational, a lot of the situational stuff pointing in that direction of them just kind of um, taking taking the defense a little bit more seriously in the second game. Then the third one, the under 221. So a lot of agreement between the three games here. So hopefully we get some wins tomorrow. All right. With that said, that is the end of the show. Always have to end with this. Whether you fade or follow, it is on you to make that call. Good luck with all your actions. Until next time. Peace.